Today we are unboxing a PowerColor branded AMD Radeon HD 7870 GHz edition with 2 GB of GDDR5. This card was purchased for $107 at Newegg over Thanksgiving, and that price is after rebate after coupon. This card is PCIe 3x16 with a 28nm Pitcairn XT core. Do note, however, if you purchase this card and are not careful, you may destroy an entire galaxy, according to PowerColor, so make sure you read the warranty before installing. We have some technical specifications in some other languages that I can't read particularly well. Some sort of serial code on the left side. On the back, we have more technical information and a bunch of stars that don't really mean anything at all. This does utilize the latest version of DirectX, which is pretty cool if you want to play the 10 games that use DirectX 11. There is a QR barcode here for no apparent reason at all, so definitely don't scan that unless you are into that sort of thing. This card does have a 256-bit memory bus with 1280 shader units and 80 texture mapping units. 1000 on the core, of course. 1200 on the memory. On stock voltages, it's very easy to get this card up to 1100 on the core, 1450 on the memory, which gives you performance similar to a 7950 video card at 1080p resolution. Once you get past 1080p, you start to get hit with the 256-bit memory bus limitation, as the 7950 does have a 384-bit bus with 1792 shader units and 112 texture mapping units. That card does only run stock 800 on the core, 1250 on the memory, but utilizes the Tahiti Pro core, which is also a 28nm process. Do also note that this card stock has a 140-watt TDP. To overclock, you'll need to boost that TDP 20% to a 170-watt TDP. That'll get you that overclock I was talking about before. That is still lower than the 7950's 200-watt TDP, which will probably burn your entire house down. We have a stock cooler on this video card, which is fantastic if you like your video card to be super duper loud. What's really nice about this card, though, is even though it's got the stock cooler, you don't have extra connectors at the top. So this could technically be a single slot card. This also reduces back pressure, as you don't have to worry about a small exhaust space for the centrifugal fan. This fan does get up to 4000 RPM, at which point your computer will leave your room and take off into the lower atmosphere and travel to some unknown destination. We have 2 6-pin connectors at the top. AMD recommends a 500-watt power supply, but we all know you can get away with a 350-watt power supply as long as your processor isn't heavily overclocked or really inefficient like most AMD processors actually are. We've got a beautiful black PCB on this reference card. Retention plate. Fantastic looking card. Overclocks really well. For $107, you can't get this kind of performance anywhere else. Do note, though, the heatsink on this card, even though you have a huge enclosed shroud, is actually only about this length. It's very small in comparison to a lot of the aftermarket coolers on this card and some of the aftermarket versions. It's aluminum with a copper base and 3 copper heat pipes, but that really isn't enough to prevent this card from getting a little too toasty. So I definitely recommend ramping up your fan and dealing with the jet engine, as you do not want this card, especially when overclocked, to overheat. Would have been nicer, though, if they would have included a larger heatsink or maybe something that was all copper, but we all know that AMD likes to use smaller heatsinks on their video cards. Check out what else we've got in the packaging. This is PowerColor, so don't expect a lot in the box. Oh, look! We've got 2 converters that everybody has 5,000 of sitting in a drawer somewhere in their house. A quick installation guide. I'm not really sure what they could say. Oh, you gotta put the card in, plug in the things. It's great. Thank you, PowerColor. You have an amazing driver CD with what I am sure is an enormously out-of-date driver that will probably crash. So download the latest Catalyst driver for your system. They did, if you notice, fail to include any Molex to PCIe connectors. So if you're running an older power supply that doesn't have those connectors by default, you will need to purchase those yourself, which may kill this deal for you somewhat, but considering most people run a power supply that was made after 2005, it's really not too much of an issue. A little noisy, but it overclocks well and will run similarly to a 7950 at 1080p, which is just what you need to run modern games like Battlefield 4 and PlanetSide 2 on high/ultra settings. Can't recommend this card enough. It does only come with a 2-year warranty and not a 3-year warranty, though that does seem to be the standard with these mid-range cards. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions or concerns, let me know.